Welcome to the Encouragement Engineering Podcast. We help people combat the negativity that inundates our daily lives with a positive perspective and positive action. Today's guest is Rob Cressy. Rob helps creators and entrepreneurs do great things. Spanning the world of personal growth and self-mastery to marketing and brand building, his unique approach helps you become a better leader, fulfill personal and business success, and enjoy life. Rob's purpose in life is to be a positive force for good that leads others to what's possible. So please welcome to the show, Rob Cressy. Rob, thank you again for being here today. I really look forward to our conversation.
You're welcome, Bob. I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Oh, not a problem. Well, let's get right into it and let's tell people about Rob. I mean, I like to do that so people have a background of who you are and how you got to where you are today.
So for me, and knowing the theme of your podcast, when someone says who you are, what is very big and important to me is self-cultivation. And we all have the opportunity to create ourselves into who we are every single day. So what is probably most appropriate on who am I? I'm the happiest person on earth, shining my light on everyone. I am infinite love. I am abundantly generous and a giver. And these are things that I feel into and declare into every single day for who I am. So how I can be the best version of myself. My background, my dream was always to work in sports and be creative. But guess what? I graduated college and was unemployed for a year and a half. I was dead broke and lived off my credit card for several years. Wow. That completely did not go the way that I thought it was going to go. The first job I actually got was at a call center slinging home equity loans at Fifth Third Bank, making $10 an hour in a cube farm. Also, opposite of what I wanted to do in my life. That got me into sales, which I did for 10 years. And I finally got to a point where I said, I'd regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't give it a shot at making my dreams happen. So I cut the cord, burned the boats, and went all in on myself and creating my best life.
Wow. Awesome. I like what, we read in your bio. It says you're a positive force for good. Do you get a cape with that, a special card, special parking? I mean, tell us about that, because I just love that. You're a positive force for good.
Yeah, so I worked very diligently on distilling the words down to create power in them for who I am, because I'm a big believer, similar to a company having a mission statement. For me, what is the thing that gets me up every single day? I wanted a purpose statement for my life.
Right.
So for me, when I think about it, number one, I live a life of positivity. I'm the leader of Team Good Vibes. So I'm a positive force for good, meaning how I show up in the world. When I do, I'm doing good for others. That leads others to what's possible. So I look at myself as the leader and the guinea pig. So I would never ask someone to do something that I have never done, or I would never teach or coach something that I have not experienced myself, because you cannot give to others that which you have not experienced yourself. So for me, when I look at who I am a force for good, because I've seen and I live every day what it's like to be a positive force for good and live my best life and to wake up happy and to love every second of my life. And I want to share that gift with others, because I know what it's like to not have this. As I talked about, a large majority of my life, I was not like this. I'm a different person than I was a decade ago. But now that I've got it, man, I want to share that with everybody.
And that's awesome, because if you think about it, like you described, a cubicle farm, that's not a very positive place. The gray walls, constant calls, whatever. Were you able to start this idea there and help influence other people, or just, were you in that space in your mind yet at that point?
Oh no, not even close.
Okay.
Thankfully for me, I got good at what I did. And you could wake up every day and be great at something and not love doing it. And for me, that's what it became. So Cube Farm slowly went to new job that paid more, that was a closer commute. And then you just keep on jumping on that to try and make more money and more money. And that got me into digital advertising sales. And it was something I was very, very good at. And I made more money than I'd ever made in my entire life. But guess what? I didn't wake up every day looking forward to slinging banner ads and text links. Right. And I was very much the work hard, play hard kind of guy. I did not invest in my personal development at all. I was very much the play for the weekends kind of person. And literally it was it. But I always had a dream of working in sports and being creative. I would just sit there and I would create sports blogs in my free time, and I would just write for free. I wrote for 10 years without making a single cent working in sports, because that's just what I love to do. It's like, Bob, if you can do whatever you want, what would you do? I'm like, I'll just write about sports. I don't want to work these sales jobs. I just want to work in sports. So what ended up happening was I was spending as much time working on my sports blogs as I was my well-paying job. I had the job on autopilot.
Right.
And I was like, man, I dream of the day where this is all that I do. And then that's when it got to the inflection point. All right. I looked at the landscape and said, I am as good or better than everybody that I see out there. And if I don't give it this shot, I will regret it for the rest of my life. And to me, the bigger risk is not taking the chance at living your dreams. I don't want to live with that regret. So for me, this was a piece of cake.
Right.
But here's where it was not a piece of cake. The decision to go and live my dreams and not do digital advertising sales, piece of cake. Then you wake up the next day and you're like, all right, I'm now making $0. I have no experience, no relationships, and no knowledge in this space other than being a creative and a writer and wanting to do this. And then that's when things get real.
And that's always interesting, because people love the dream, if you will, of that. But the reality is it's going to be challenging to make that jump, to, like you said, build those relationships, get the consulting gigs, get the speaking gigs. It's not easy, but it's possible. You've just got to keep going at it, keep grinding at it. And that's where, you've got the planning and you've got to prepare for it. You just, I'm sure you had some planning in there too. It just, you wasn't just cut and go, save up some money so you could live off that for a little while, but it's, it can be a challenge for people. It's interesting too, because you talk about personal and business potential on your website. Tell us about that, because it's interesting. You mentioned better habits and aligning business and health, which is a key one, because I think people kind of keep the two separate. But if you're not healthy, you can't do business. You can't run a business. Your health is so important to being a person and doing anything. And you talk about fulfilling relationships. Can you fill us in more on those types of topics you talk about?
Yeah, let's keep this very simple, because that's what I like to do. So with this, let's just start with, you are living your life. So a lot of people like to create this distinction of, there's the work version of me, and then there's my personal life where I do all of the things that I want to do. Let's stop right there, because you, in the best case scenario, create yourself to be the best version of yourself every single day. And you create yourself to do the things that you love, because if you do the things that you love every day, you never work a day in your life. So if you come from that philosophy and say, wait a second, there is no distinction between the two, because at the end of the day, you get the choice. You don't like the job that you're in, go ahead and find something else, quit, or build something else that's a side project, whatever it is. You have that choice. But so many people create this story in their head that I'm trapped and I can't do this because of ... So, Bob, I think about, I was hired as a personal growth and high performance coach for the first time for an ad agency in New York years ago. And they said, Rob, we want you to make our employees better at business by making them better at life. And at that time, I had no webpage for this. I had no offers, no speaking gigs, but I had a relationship with the CEO who knew how I lived my life, how I got down. And of course, naturally, the content that I create is all around this sort of mindset, being an entrepreneur. Hey, this is how I'm getting down. Boom. And how this all ties together, habits, routines, aligning health, is when you realize holistically all areas of your life. Imagine thinking of yourself as a computer with a boot sequence. So you're like, all right, Bob, for Bob to be the best version of himself every single day, what do you need to do? Who do you need to be? No different than when I open up my MacBook Pro and I click on, it boots up a series of programs to turn it into the best computer that it can. So now all of a sudden we are doing lifestyle design in architecture. So you say, what are the things that I want to do? How do I want to show up every day? What are the things that I want to feel? What is my lens for the world? How am I interacting with people? So you mentioned something about health. So let's take that as an example. So health to me is more mental than it is physical. I get it. There's positive benefits. You're going to live longer, but I quite frankly just want to look good. So that's number one. But why do I do that? Because when I look good, I feel good.
Right.
And when I feel good, I'm more confident. And when I'm more confident, I'm walking up straighter. So now when I jump on a podcast with you, Bob, boom, I'm feeling good because I've paid my dues and I know I'm doing the things that someone who is living their best life would do, because health is very much important. How do you think that trickles down to the way I show up in everything that I do? On the flip side, we have the inverse. Someone who says, you know what? I just don't feel like it today. And then I don't feel like it today goes to 1 day, to 1 week, to 1 month, to 1 year. And then not only do you put on weight, but now you feel sluggish and you're not doing things and you're not performing at the top level.
Right.
Both of those people work for the same company. Which of those two people do you think is going to be a higher performer? That's a no-brainer, right? So that's where all of this comes together. So now you say, well, let's start to design the habits, routines, the processes, and the mindsets so that we can boot ourselves to being the best version of ourselves. And oh, by the way, these are all things that are fun that you enjoy doing. So I'm not telling you to go shovel rocks.
Yeah.
I'm saying, hey, let's get a connection to what it is you want to create and then create the process.
Right. And that's a good scenario for people to remember. It starts with your, if you will, your actions, how you, like you said, how you start the day, how you set yourself up for that day. And it's, as you were saying that, I always think this time of year, the gyms get thinner. That New Year's resolution, they're there, and oh yeah, it's busy for January, the first week of January, second week of January, the third week, it starts to trail off. And by now those New Year's people are all gone again. So we got to continue that pattern, and that positivity is a daily type of action, a daily habit, if you will, that you need in your life. Is there something you do to help keep yourself positive and on that track? If you can fill us in on how you do that.
No, because it goes back to the beginning. And what I would say for you, Bob, both with the fitness as well as everything that I do, this is a lifestyle and a way of being. So why am I still working out 5 days a week for the last 15 plus years? How in the world is that possible? Am I somehow a superhuman? No, not at all. And it was actually a very simple thing for me. Way back in the day, I'd got out of a relationship. And guess what? I'm now a single guy. Oh crap, I haven't been working out. And this is pre who I am now. Yeah. I haven't been working out. I've slacked on some things. I'm now back on the market. Boom, immediately I was connected to why I am going back to the gym. But here's the thing, when it becomes a lifestyle, it is no longer a chore. No. This is just who I am. So going to the gym every day or going for a run or playing basketball or playing golf or doing anything fitness oriented, that's just who I am. So you're never going to hear from me, I'm on a diet or I'm trying to cut these things out, because to me, that's deprivation and not a lifestyle. I want something that is sustainable. So as it relates to positivity, Bob, let's go back to ground zero, quit my job. I'm now making $0. And it's like, and I'm not this person yet. I don't understand anything. So somehow I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to audit the success habits of the most successful people in the world, the people I aspire to be like and do things like. What are the habits, routines, and mindsets and things that they are doing that I want to think about? And what were some of those? The average CEO reads 60 books a year. Crap. I'm reading 0. Yep. Think I want to get on this. The average CEO wakes up early and he does something fitness oriented. Ding, ding, ding. Remember, success leaves breadcrumbs. Yep. So slowly but surely, by reading and doing some of these habits and routines, I start to become more self-aware. And that's the first step in this. I said, wait a second, everything is on me now. Literally every single aspect of my life, health, wealth, love, happiness, when I wake up, when I go to bed, what I eat, what I watch, all of it. And I never had this before because I was going to a job that I didn't like. So I didn't have the awareness that I could do whatever I want. And all that is, Bob, is a choice.
Yeah.
We all have the choice to say, what is the lens that we see the world from? So I thought to myself, and I was like, all right, I get this now. I'm self-aware. And then now that I'm reading, I adopted a growth mindset. Right. Things can get better. I'm not stuck in this situation. So I know that entrepreneurship is going to be a roller coaster journey. So what in the world is going to help me accomplish my goals faster? Positivity or negativity? All I did is ask myself this one question: positivity or negativity? Well, positivity, of course. Negativity not only doesn't serve me, it's actually going to take me further away from where I want to go. And in that instant, I said, since negativity no longer serves me and helps me become who I want to be, it no longer has a place in my life. This is now binary, a 1 or a 0. So therefore, how does Rob show up as the happiest person on earth, shining his light on everyone, a positive force for good in the world? It's because there's no other option for me. Why would I choose to live in any negativity? So I don't have to wake up every single day and be like, all right, Rob, let's make you positive. No, that choice in 1 second got confirmed for me for the rest of my life.
Wow. And that's great because, it just, positivity works. It's not Pollyanna, but you do have to integrate it into your life on a constant basis. And some people, like you said, you didn't know at the time, you learned, you grew, you integrated into your life, and you saw the benefit of it. That's key to take those actions that are going to give you good outcomes in your life. And you're doing that, you're living that, it's sharing that with people so they understand. And a lot of times, you'll talk to a group that you get the eyes glazed over when they hear you talk about this, but there's a couple people, and that's all you need is those 1 or 2 in there that get it. And you see that light bulb come on, and then it's like, yeah, now we're going. And then you might have to talk to that group again, and then you get a few more, and then a few more. Positivity, it does work in your life. I mean, it helps you to get through the tough times. They're going to come. It's a guarantee in life. And positivity helps you to overcome what you have to do in those times. So great reminder to people. Now, with your coaching, if you could tell us a little bit more about that. You talk about vision, being, and action. Fill us in on breaking that down a little bit more.
So I'm somebody who has been living my dream for the last 12 years. Every single day, best day of my life. Boom, because I'm here and it's an opportunity for me to create. So that's a perspective. It's a way of being. It's a way of showing up every single day. So let's make this formulaic for you to create anything that you want in your life. How do you do it? So what I essentially did is I reverse engineered my habits, routines, mindsets, ways of being, my thought processes, the actions, the things that I've learned, the good and the bad over the last 12 years, and said, let's create a process for this. I put it all into a digital platform, so I've got it all nice and organized, and I coach on top of it. But here's what it is. So vision, Bob, and this is so simple. Anybody can do this. You can do this right now. So we start with vision, and you say, all right, Bob, well, what is your vision? What is it that you want to create? We can think small or big, but a lot of people just never spend time actually working on their vision or writing it down. So there's a great book about this called The Power of Consistency by Weldon Long. And what he says is most people just don't spend enough time being consistent with their dreams. So you might say, oh, I dream of owning a Lamborghini one day. All right, cool. But you might not think about it for another year, and it's just sort of this hope and this wish. But then there's the person who says, I dream of having a Lamborghini one day, and they read it every single day for a year. And I'm not saying this is the exact process, but imagine the difference between the two. One person every single day, Lamborghini, 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 Lamborghini. The other person just sort of says it once, and there it is. So what that shows you is the power of consistency, because now it's more aware and it's impossible for that second person to not walk around life being like, Lamborghini's on my mind. Well, if Lamborghini's on my mind, cool. So what we do is you start by saying, let's create your vision of what it is that you actually want and write it down, because then you can actually create a relationship with it. I can give it to you, Bob. You can give it to somebody else. You can read it. You can speak it out loud. You can visualize it. You can actually do something of manifesting and creating your dreams by having it right there. Right. So we have an entire thing on vision. So now that we know where it is we're going, boom, I'm clear on this. And here's the key, Bob. You don't need to know how. Right. Do not say, but I don't know how to do this. That's not the game we're playing right now. Right. We're dreamers. So we're living in our dreams and vision. Let's put it out there. There's a million ways that how can happen, and you don't even know. So number two, now that we've created our vision, now we've got our being. In being is how you show up every single day. And you can think about filling in this simple sentence. I am ... Who is it that you are? Because how you show up will determine your actions. So who do you need to be the person that makes your vision and your dreams happen, or to be the person that gets that Lamborghini? So for example, one of the declarations that's part of my self-cultivation, I am a revenue generating juggernaut. And it is the powerful version of myself. And within that is both action, because someone who's a revenue generating juggernaut, they're not sitting there doing nothing. Right. There's someone who is powerful, who is smart and wise. It doesn't mean that I'm working 24 hours a day, because juggernauts can do a lot of different things. So boom, I've created myself as this, and I show up as this every single day. So let's create your being and who you are, because this becomes the lens in how you show up. So I've got, I am infinite love. I am fearless. I am an overachiever. I am the confidence that I belong. All of these things, because for me to accomplish my vision, I want to be the most powerful, best version of myself. So what's our step-by-step process for this? So we got the vision and we've got who we are, and now it's time for the action. Right. So now, what are the various ways that we can take action to be the person that creates the vision and the dream that you want to accomplish? So through all of that, I give some habits, routines, mindsets, perspectives, ways of being that become your tool belt for creating anything that you want in your life. And Bob, this is both internally, your mind and your heart, as well as externally, anything you want to create there.
Awesome. And it sounds like a lot, but I'm sure you break it down for everybody. And that's a good summary about that whole scenario, because it definitely helps people, especially the vision part. So many people have a hard time getting, they might, like you said, they might be able to have an idea, if you will, or, think about it once in a while, but writing it down, that lets you, if you will, kinesthetically learn it, reading it to yourself. You're hearing yourself say it. It's that repetition. And when you do it every day, that builds it that much stronger. And like you said, the key thing is you don't have to know how to get there. Just look at the vision first and start with that. So great examples there. Great reminders for people.
So Bob, can I jump in on one thing real quick?
Definitely.
So you said the words, that seems like a lot. That's a lot. So here's the thing. Number one, I'm a positive force for good that leads others to what's possible. Right. You and no one else has to do any of this. All this is a roadmap and a process for how you can create this for yourself. Your dreams different than my dreams. Yeah. Your being different than my being. But this says, here's some new perspectives and lenses and ways of thinking. And if you think about this like building a house. So Bob, you sit there and we're like, I've never built a house before. That seems like a lot. Correct. But how do you build a house? One brick at a time. You also have a blueprint that says, where do we put the bricks? Exact same concept here. Because remember the whole self-awareness thing, you're in charge of every single aspect of your life. Yeah. Well, if that's the case, and you can design every single aspect of your life, from the way that you think to the way that you show up, to the way that you dream, to the way that you take action. And they just slowly start stacking on top of each other. It doesn't have to be a lot, because all I want you to do is live in the moment. And then we're going to live in the next moment. And then we're going to learn the next thing. And then we're going to implement the next thing. And this is how it becomes a lifestyle and a way of being.
And thanks for explaining that, because you do need to focus now. We tend to, like you said, we'll look ahead and worry about this. Worry doesn't do you any good, we can't, change the past. Woulda, coulda, shoulda doesn't help you. So that living in the moment, like you said, that's that one step, that step right now. Tony Robbins talks about that. Just take the next step. Don't look, down the horizon if, that whole path. It's right now. What are you going to step next? Great clarification with that. You mentioned lifestyle design too. Is this all part of that then, with your lifestyle design in this path?
100%. So I had a branding coach who taught me a quote that he heard through the grapevine: live by design, not by default. For the first 30 years of my life, I lived by default.
Yep.
I woke up at some time that felt comfortable to me. I went to a job that I did not like. I did that Monday through Friday. I partied through the weekends, and then I rinsed and repeated this for 10 years straight. That was the opposite of living a life by design. I was on the hamster wheel of default. Right. And this is where people feel like, I can't do anything. It's more the fixed mindset. Well, this is just the way that things are. Whereas lifestyle by design says, all right, Bob, let's start from this canvas. You can do anything you want. What do you want to create? Who do you want to be? What time do you want to wake up? Who do you want to be around? Do you just want to podcast? Do you want to play? You name it, because you can literally do anything that you want in your life. But Rob, I don't have enough time. That's just the story that you're creating for yourself, because you could say, you know what, Rob, I'm going to have the first tee time at 5 a.m. every morning. I'm going to play 9 holes and I'm done by 6:30. I'm golfing every single day now. Boom. Lifestyle by design. So now, once again, you are the architect of your life, because do you want to get to the end when you see that, wow, my time is coming towards an end, and you look back and you're like, man, I did not do the things that I wanted to do? I'm certainly not going to live that way. I'm going to choose the inverse. We only get one chance at this life. I'm living my life by design. I'm creating the best version possible. Once again, Bob, positive force for good that leads others to what's possible. If I can do all of this, remember, same guy who worked in a call center, dead broke, lived off his credit card. You can do it too.
Yeah. Well, and even like you mentioned before, you moved from Chicago, as we were talking. I moved from Michigan. That was a lifestyle choice. We didn't want to deal with the winter stuff. We didn't want to deal with the snow and the gray and the drab. Got tired of that. Okay, make a change. That means you rent a truck, you put your stuff in it, you get down to where you need to be. And, whether it's for family, whether it's for a job, take the opportunity. And that's what in that scenario, that's what I did. Is I found a job that I could travel, and it said, okay, you can live anywhere you want in the country as long as it's within 50 miles of an airport. I was in Michigan. It was February. I had a 90-some foot driveway. I was tired of shoveling. I was tired of the gray drab. I'm heading south, man. And that's what it is. You find these avenues when you focus your mind on that goal that will allow you to achieve those things.
You got it. And Bob, you're a great example of living by design. So now you can say, well, how about I just start designing every single aspect of my life? And once you understand this concept, it is like your world goes from black and white to color. We all have complete control over every single aspect of our life. You get just to choose, are you going to accept that statement or not? Or are you going to say, I'm going to listen to the story that's a self-limiting belief or a fear, not me?
Right. Yeah. And that's, you mentioned that fear word, and that's a great example, because we put these ideas of projecting the future of what might happen into our current situation. We don't need to do that. I noticed the baseballs behind you. They're probably signed, right?
Yep.
So you didn't get those just by having somebody hand them to you. You probably asked somebody for them, right? You had to ask the question. A lot of people say, well, how did you do that? I asked. It reminds me of, because I have one from Ernie Harwell. He was the announcer for the Detroit Tigers. And there was an article about him, and they were making him retire. So I just sent him a letter at the time. This was before the internet. And I sent him a letter saying, Ernie, you've been the sound of baseball my life for this many years. I hope you have a great retirement. Thank you so much. If you have time, I can send you a ball. Would you sign it for me and send it back to me? I get a box back. He already signed the ball and sent it back to me. But, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a great guy. The point is we asked to have somebody do that. A lot of people will stop in fear because they'll say, oh, well, that person will say no. You don't know what they're going to say. You don't know what's going to come about. So why not try that? Get the fear out of the way, because that won't help you any.
So, Bob, we almost want to level up this conversation, because if you're getting stopped at fear and you're not asking, you're not in the game.
Right.
Because once again, part of the things that I teach and coach is get comfortable being uncomfortable. And one of the other quotes that I love is prepare for what's difficult when it's easy.
Right.
Entrepreneurship by design. I signed up for a roller coaster. Everybody thinks that success is this nice linear path. No, despite everything that you say, I created myself this way because I looked and I'm like, there's a very good chance when I start this, I'm not going to be bringing in revenue for a good amount of time. Yeah. And my dreams are attached to this. So you want to feel some internal pressure and angst, bring in no dollars for a couple months on the thing that you love the most, that you're great at, that just isn't getting the response. You just feel like you're going to die inside. You're like, oh my God, my body hurts. There's a weight on top of my chest. And a lot of people feel this way, where they have this invisible anvil that is there. But one of the quotes that I love that sort of yes ends what you said is, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Right.
Because what is the alternative? If Ernie doesn't respond to you?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So now you start to think about this for all areas of your life. So for the people who are too afraid to take action, you're not even in the game. Right. We are now on the level where we are intentionally doing hard things that scare us because we know it is going to help us grow. So we seek out discomfort. Think about the different growth paths, because that's what we are about. We are about growth, and nothing great ever came from your comfort zone.
That's so true. That's so true. The couch cushion is not your friend. Well, one of the other things is self-talk and the value that has, because things will come into our life and we'll hear it on the Bloob tube, we'll hear it on different news stories, and it can take you in all kinds of directions. Is self-talk something that you practice, something that you share with others to do? Because I think it can be a positive influence. Tell us about that if you can.
Well, Bob, it's only the most important thing in your life. just saying.
Just saying, yeah.
So if you've picked up on my language on this, I've said a few things a bunch of different times.
Yeah.
And one of them is the story that you tell yourself.
Right.
So the story you tell yourself is never going to end. You're never going to wake up one day and be like, Rob, you won't believe this, but I stopped thinking today. Yeah. Like nothing came through my mind. Like I was on a podcast and I was just like, not possible. So the narrative and the story that you tell yourself will determine your actions. Yeah. So Bob, when I said one of the modules is around being and creating yourself to be the best version of yourself. And what do I say? I am infinite love. Yeah. So what is Rob's self-talk saying to himself? I am infinite love. Because inevitably, when somebody cuts me off on the freeway or spills a coffee on my lap on the airport, what am I going to do? Am I going to pop off and be angry and be negative? Or is the story that I tell myself, I am infinite love and I'm a champion for everyone. Oh, you spilled it on me? Of course I didn't want that, but hey, it's okay. Let's feel bad for that. Let's move on. And the story you tell yourself, we are all in charge of. So the person who is allowing the fear story to be the one I'm projecting the future or I'm living in my past.
Right.
That's the story you have chosen to live. Well, wait a second, Bob. If we live by design, why don't we design the way that we talk to ourselves or create a process that says, when I notice myself getting off the story of positivity or the thing that isn't going to serve me, how do I get back to neutral? Because that's the thing. Am I perfect? No. Am I happy 100% of the time? No. But you know what I've been blessed with? I have created a process for myself to shrink the dispersion from the amount of time that something negative happens in my mind or that I think about it to how quickly I get back to neutral so that I'm no longer living in that negativity. Because for me, I can shrink something major that has happened in my life. And by no means has my life been puppy dogs and rainbows. It has been anything but. And my process allows me to, in a course of an hour or a few hours or minutes, depending on how big or small something is, shrink that to move on. But Rob, it's not that easy. Most people allow a negative loop to go for hours and days and weeks and months. And then now, like the snowball rolling downhill, now you start to collect the evidence of all the other negative things that aren't working. Oh man, my coworker treated me like crap. And now all of a sudden somebody cut me off. And now all of a sudden I've got a flat tire, and boom, this negativity starts to snowball. But people don't have the process to say, wait a second, I'm trapped in the negative self-talk loop. What can I do to no longer believe that story? What is the story I'm going to tell myself? And what is the thing that I can do in this moment to move forward?
And that's a great reminder for people, is we've got to get out of that negative loop. And that skill you have to be able to notice that and then change it around. So great reminder with that for people. Rob, now where can people find out more about you, what you do, your website, things like that? How can they get a hold of you?
So based on this conversation, I think the thing that I can help the most with is if you go to robcressy.com/I am great, that shares more about not only my coaching program, but the philosophies of how I get down. Because when you see vision being in action and the results and the things that it's going to create in your life, I encourage you to think about the language that I use on there. Bob, you've talked about self-talk, lifestyle design, vision, dreams, business, and personal potential. And you start to think about yourself and you're like, well, what is my relationship to these words? One, do I have any? Or two, do I want more of this in my life? And would I be served to create a tool belt and a lens in the world for how I can self-create myself to be the best version of myself every day and literally do and be anything that you want? So robcressy.com/I am great. I have a podcast, Best Year Ever, which, Bob, it's nice and simple. It's about how to create your best year ever. And what is that? Best year ever is best month ever, best week ever, day ever, hour ever, moment ever. It's a lifestyle, mindset, and a way of being. Or you can hit me up, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Rob Cressy.
Awesome. And we'll put all that in the show notes so everybody has a chance to get a hold of you whichever way they want. Rob, thanks for being a bright light in our world today. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for being a guest on the Encouragement Engineering Podcast. You're doing a great job. I love the energy and the excitement. So thank you so much for doing this today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Bob. And I've got to show you love because you're also a positive force for good that is leading others to what's possible, because the world needs more people like you who say, I've got a platform to share positivity, to bring other people on that want to share positivity. You are making others' lives better. So I wanted to make sure to recognize that in you.
Thank you so much, Rob, and appreciate your time today.